Imagine Italy without tomatoes, Switzerland without chocolate, or America without coffee. Now think of the Americas before horses, wheat, or smallpox. Unbelievable, right? But before 1492, these things didn't exist on opposite sides of the Atlantic. The Columbian Exchange changed everything, redefining the old world and the new in ways no one could have predicted. Was it a blessing or a curse? The Columbian Exchange was the massive transfer of plants, animals, people, and diseases between Europe, Africa, and the Americas after Columbus's voyages. It wasn't just trade, it was a transformation of life itself. Before this, the Americas had no apples, no rice, no cows. Europe had no corn, no potatoes, no chili peppers. Even coffee and sugar, things we associate with the Caribbean, weren't native to the Americas. But once Europeans arrived, all of that changed. Some of the most important crops in history came from the Americas. Corn and potatoes became staples in Europe, feeding millions and helping populations grow. Tomatoes made their way to Italy, forever changing Italian cuisine. And chili peppers spread to India and China, shaping the spicy foods we love today. Meanwhile, Europeans brought wheat, rice, and sugarcane to the Americas. But sugar had a dark side. Its demand led to the rise of plantations and the transatlantic slave trade, forcing millions of Africans into brutal labor. Before Europeans arrived, the Americas had no horses, cows, pigs, or chickens. That's right, no wild mustangs, no cattle ranches, no bacon. Spanish explorers introduced these animals, forever changing native ways of life. Horses, in particular, were revolutionary. Plains tribes like the Lakota and Comanche became master horse riders, transforming their societies. But while some animals were useful, others were destructive. Pigs, for example, spread rapidly, eating native crops and causing food shortages. Food and animals weren't the only things that crossed the Atlantic. So did deadly diseases. Smallpox, measles, and influenza wiped out up to 90% of indigenous populations within a century. Entire cities were abandoned. Empires like the Aztecs and Incas fell, not just to European weapons, but to invisible enemies. Europeans, on the other hand, were largely unaffected by American diseases. Why? Because they had lived alongside livestock for centuries, building immunity to diseases that would prove devastating in the New World. The Columbian Exchange reshaped the world in ways that still affect us today. It brought new foods, new opportunities, and new ideas. But it also led to conquest, slavery, and one of the greatest population collapses in history. So was it progress, or was it destruction? The truth, as always, is complicated. If you could remove one thing from the Columbian Exchange, whether a disease, a food, or an animal, what would it be and why? Let us know in the comments.